So in the last session, we had a discussion about TF IDF. And if you guys remember, we saw one formula for IDF, which was basically the log of n upon ni, right? So where n is my total number of documents and ni is basically the word present in out of those documents. So here question arises, why log we are applying, right? So there are multiple theories for this. But before that, before I talk about that, I have to jump to some other concepts of statistics, which we have, or which we should aware of, right? So let's start, and then we'll come back to this reason for this, basically why log applied. So the very first concept which we want to discuss is log normal distribution. What does that mean, basically? Suppose I have a random variable x, and I'm saying that this particular random variable x is log normal with a mean of mu and the variance of sigma square. Which means that I have a random variable x, and if I take the log of x, whatever the random variable x I have, right? If I take the log of that random variable x, then the distribution coming from this gonna be the normal distribution, right? We have an understanding of what normal distribution is all about. So let me open Gaussian distribution. So basically Gaussian distribution is nothing but my normal distribution, which has some properties, right? It has some properties of, if you guys remember the empirical rule, which says that from one standard deviation negative to one standard deviation positive, there are 68% probability. If I go down here, you can see that the properties of normal distribution, where it says that from -1 to +1 standard deviation, the property is like 68% probability, 68.2% probability will be there of these values to occur. -2 to +2 standard deviation, there is a 95.45% probability that the value will be occur, and from -3 to +3, the property is 99.73%, and after that, rest of the percentages. So basically my log normal distribution looks like this. So basically what happens is that this is my actual log normal distribution, which says that this is my data set. I have a random variable x. The behavior of random variable x is this, or this, or this, right? Depends on how your standard deviation is. If your standard deviation is smaller, you can see when my standard deviation is increasing, what happens is that the spread is increasing. Right here, my standard deviation is 0.25. So here you can see it is much thinner. But as and when my standard deviation is increasing, you can see that this is getting more spread out, and my tail is becoming more thicker. Right, my tail is becoming more thicker. You can see that here. The red one is almost touching to 0. Green one is a bit higher, and blue one is much more higher because the standard deviation there is more. So when I have a random variable x, the original distribution will be something like this. But when I apply log of x in each and every variable, because here we have each and every value, right? If I apply each and every value log on top of that, then that distribution comes out to be the normal distribution. And once this type of distribution, if I convert to normal distribution, we can solve a lot many problems, right? We can use the beautiful properties of the normal distributions like empirical rule. If I can apply those things in this type of distribution, that will be very easy for me to get the probabilities. If I go down, you can see this is basically my PDF, that is probability distribution function, and this is my CDF. This is nothing but cumulative distribution function. That means if I sum up this, right? If I sum up this is basically showing me the area under the curve. But if I sum up the probabilities, first probability, second probability, third probability, and so on, it will give me the maximum as 100%. You can see here, the maximum probability I'm getting is 100%. So basically it is actually trying to create a probability distribution type of curve where it will sum up the probabilities, right? The way you will see in the normal distribution also. If you see here you can see that this is my PDF showing me the probability of, or it's a area under the curve, how the probability is of a normal distribution, and this is my cumulative distribution function. If you see at the center, the probability is 50%. It's symmetric chart, right? It's a symmetric chart. So if I break this into two parts, this is 50% probability and this is 50% probability. And that is the same thing you are able to see here also. If I come here, you can see that at the middle, the probability is 50%. Right? So this is the area under the curve, basically. First half of the curve and the second half. Total gonna be 100%. Right? It's a CDF, which we discussed in the statistics class. Now, if I come back here, you can see that in the log normal, this is my CDF. And again, you can see the PDF equation. Try to see this equation. 1 upon x sigma square root of 2 pi e raised to power minus ln x minus mu square upon 2 sigma square. And if you compare this equation with the Gaussian distribution, you can see that it's almost the same. Here you can see 1 upon sigma 2 square root of 2 pi e raised to power minus 1 by 2 x minus sigma x minus mu upon sigma whole square. Almost the same, right? It follows almost the same. Just log part is there. Apart from that, almost everything is same. That's which shows that when I convert this particular distribution, apply log on top of that, it may or it will be almost following the Gaussian distribution. Right? So basically when we apply the log normal, or basically when we have a log normal means again nothing but I have a distribution, I'm applying on top of that a log that will convert it to normal distribution. And this is in real time, we see a lot, right? If I go down here, you can see that I have one section, occurrences and applications. Here you can see the length of the comment posted in internet discussion forums follows a log or normal distribution. And we are coming from there only, right? We are coming from Amazon feedbacks. And we are actually going in a correct direction. Here you can see the length of the comments posted in the internet discussion forum follows a log normal distribution. Users dwell time on online articles follows a log normal distribution as well. Right? For example, I am opening up an article and I am reading it. How much time I'm spending there? Majority of the people are spending only few minutes. Very less number of people may spend much time on the articles. It follows the log normal. So basically, it's in the real time scenario, those guys who are coming from the internet world, right? Who are working for companies like Amazon, working for various different companies which deals with comments and all, Facebook, Twitter, right? So majority of the times we are going to see the log normal distribution. Here you can see the length of comment is posted in internet discussion forum always follows a log normal distribution, which is again, as I mentioned, that majority of my sentences or the comments are very small in size. We normally give as a lazy person, right? We normally give a small comment. Very few people gives a very big comment about the product or something. So that is how it follows log normal distribution. Okay. So now just a quick recap. I have a random variable x which follows log normal distribution with a mean of mu and standard deviation of sigma. If I apply log of x with the base e, or I can say ln of natural log of x, I am saying this is my random variable y. So basically what I did is I have the x, I applied the natural logarithm in on my x, and then I'm getting y. Then this distribution which you will get from y will be normally distributed. Normally distributed with the mean of obviously beta change of mean. So let's say mu dash, and the variance is sigma dash square. Right? That is the whole idea of normal log normal distribution. Right? And how we are achieving this? So basically, we are achieving it by, again, it's a basic concept. I have x with the log normal distribution with a mean of mu, sigma square is my variance. I have various values of x, x1, x2, x3, x4, and so on, xn. I am applying, or I am creating a new random variable y, which is nothing but log of x1, log of x2, log of x3, log of xn, right? Which is nothing but y1, y2, y3, y4, and yn. This is what my new random variable. Right, so this is nothing but my normally distributed. Normally distributed. But now how will I find that this is normally distributed or not? Right, so there is a concept of QQ plot. Now let's try to understand that concept. What is a QQ plot? This helps me understand whether I am following a certain distribution or not. So QQ plot is basically also known as quantile plot. Suppose I have a random variable x, which is having various values x1, x2, x3, and xn. Now I want to know whether this x, my question is, I want to know whether this x normally distributed or not, following a Gaussian distribution or not. That is what my requirement is. So for that, one of the ways to check is basically QQ plot, which is more of a visualization. From the visuals, I will able to understand that. Second is there is a statistical test called KS test, which we discuss in our stats class. You can refer to the recording. QQ plot is more of a graphical method. Obviously, case test is more advanced way because we are applying the statistical testing there. But QQ plot is also gives me a good idea that how or whether the data is normally distributed or not. Let's try to understand what happens at the back end, how QQ plot can be generated. First of all, my first step will be I will sort my xi's, the values coming from my random variable x, and I will compute the percentile. right? I will sort the data of xi, and again this will be ascending order. The sorting will be ascending order, and then I will compute the percentile. Right? So let's say I have 500 points out here. I have x1, x2, x3 up till 500 points with me. I will sort the data. I will first sort this data and compute the percentile. What happens is that now I have 500 points, so my first percentile will be at the 5th record, right? Because there are 500 points and I am calculating 100 percentiles. So my first record or first percentile will be in the 5th record. Let's say x5 is my first percentile, x10 is my second percentile, and so on. x500 is my 100th percentile. Right, so that is what my data is. Now again, this can be any number. It's not necessary that the 5th value is actually my first percentile. It can be any number. Maybe because we are sorting here, right? We are sorting here. So let's say x7 can be my 5th record. That depends on my data. But I am, for a simplicity sake, I am just saying x5 is my 5th record. Right? It can be x7 also because we are sorting. As of now, I am saying that x1, x2, x3, all these are my data set. I am sorting here. So sorting will obviously change my flow, right? Maybe x7 can be first record. But let's assume that I'm going with the same flow. So x5 is my first percentile, x10 is my second percentile, and so on, for the simplicity. After that, I will have a second step where I will create a new random variable y, which is a normal distribution with a mean of 0 and the standard deviation or a variance of 1. Right? My mean of 0 and the variance of 1 or standard deviation of 1, because square root of variance is my standard deviation. Let's say I am generating 100 points out here. y1, y2, y3 up till y100. I'm generating 100 points. Again, here we will sort this data. So we will have a random variable y, y100. I'll sort this data ascending order. And then I will compute my percentiles for these 100 records. Obviously, I'll have my first record as my first percentile, my second record will be my second percentile, and my 100th record will be my 100th percentile. Again, data can be in any order based on the ascending. And then I will plot my QQ plot, where I'll have my x-axis where I have all the 100 points, and I will have my y-axis which has all the 100 points, where x-axis is my original random variable which has 500 points. Out of these 500 points, I got 100 points because I had 100 percentile. And from the other distribution y, which is already normally distributed, has 100 variables also, 100 values also. So I'm trying to plot the chart. So basically what will happen is that there will be a 45-degree line, because see, I want to compare these two random variables. If this is my first point, this is my first point, right? This is the first point of a y variable, this is the first point of an x variable. So if both the points are falling in the same line, right, then I can very well say that both the variables are normally distributed. Y is already normally distributed, but if this variable is also following the same line, both the points are falling in the same line, right, with a 45-degree angle, then this particular x can also be normally distributed. And that is the whole idea, basically, the QQ plot. Right? So basically, when my dots are falling in this line, more towards this line, or there are chances that some points are very much nearby the line, which is okay, right? Something like this. But if there is a big diversion, suppose the one point is here or one point is here, something like this, then obviously it's not normally distributed. So basically, if my xi's and yi's points lie on a straight line, then I can say that the random variables which I have are following the same distribution. What is the distribution of y? Normal distribution. So obviously my x will also be normal distribution. So this QQ plot is helping me understand whether the distributions are whether the variables are following the same distribution or not. It can be any. It's not like this is only for normal distribution. No, it can be any. Right? So we can say that x is also following the Gaussian distribution. And obviously, the mean and the standard deviation here will not be same as 1 and 0. Because here the mean and standard deviation is 0 and 1. So mean is 0 and standard deviation or variance is 1. But it is not necessary that for x also the mean and standard deviation will be the same. It can be different. But at least my points are falling in this line or nearby this line. That's why I can say that the distributions are same. If I see here in the Wikipedia page also, let's see that this you see, right? It's following the normal distribution because it's almost in the same line. Highly correlation basically, right? Highly correlation charts, how it's look like this only, right? The angle is 45 degrees. So if it is highly correlated, then I can say that yes, it is following the same distribution. That is the whole idea about this. Now the next concept which I have to discuss, and again all these things we are discussing because we want to know why log of n upon ni comes in, right? So that is the reason we are discussing all this thing, and at the end you will see that wow, this was amazing, right? So we will see that. But now there is a concept of power law. Now what is power law? Basically you must have heard about 80-20 rule, right? It's a Pareto distribution. So basically when there is a power law, it follows a Pareto distribution, which says that, for example, let's say there are employees in the company. 80% of the employees are actually doing, or I can say 20% of my employees actually doing 80% of the job. Or I can say, suppose I'm in a retail store, I can very well say that 20% of my customer purchasing 80% of my product. That's it's a 80-20 rule. And when there is a 80-20 rule, when there is a power law, it actually follows the Pareto distribution. Pareto distribution. Here you can see this is the area. This is my 80%, and this is my 20%. Let's say 80% of the task done by first 20% records. Right, 80% of the task done by 20% of the records. That is the whole idea, basically. Right, so let's see if I can have some more details here. Not really. That's fine. Right, so this is what my power law is. But when we have a power law distribution, this is my power law distribution. So when we have power law distribution, it follows my Pareto distribution. When distribution follows the power law, it is also known as Pareto distribution. And which has two parameters. This Pareto distribution has two parameters. One is XM and second is alpha. Where XM is my scale and alpha is my shape. And both XM and alpha should be greater than 0. Basically, what happens is when alpha is increasing, you see there are various values of alpha. When alpha is 1, alpha is 2, alpha is 3, alpha is 4, and so on up till infinity. So when alpha reduces, what happens? My length of the tail increases. Let's try to expand this image. You can see here the green line where alpha is less. You can see this is falling. It's bit longer. The tail is much longer. You see there is a width. There is a width here. When alpha is 2, you can see it's bit thinner at the end. And when I'm going with alpha is infinity, you'll see a straight line. This is my just a straight line. Basically, it is nothing but like this. This is my distribution. Everything is here. Everything is here. Basically, what it is, it's a distribution, right? So it is saying that when alpha is equal to infinity, everything following in at this point only. This is my distribution. Everything in here, 100% probability. The black line where alpha is equal to infinity. So when alpha is low, you can see that my tail is bit of a thick tail. And when alpha is increasing, this tail is becoming thinner. So if there is a power law distribution, my power law distribution is something like this. This is my power law distribution. And if I apply log on my x-axis, this is my x-axis, my y-axis. If I apply a log of x and log of y, which is also known as log-log plot. When there is a power law distribution and when we are applying log x and log y, this will follow a line, straight line. This will follow straight line. Now, let's come back here. So here, what else? I think everything is fine. Yeah, apart from that, nothing I want to discuss here. Now, one thing which I want to talk about is basically power transformer or power transform. Now, what is this power transform is all about? Let's try to understand this concept also. Up till now, we discussed various concepts, but now we are at the main crux of this idea. So we have a power transform, which is also known as Box-Cox transform. Box-Cox are basically the two mathematicians with their name, it came in Box-Cox transform. So I have a random variable x where I have x1, x2, x3 and xn, which is a log normal distribution. I am creating a random variable y where I am applying log of x1, log of x2, log of xn. This distribution gonna be Gaussian distribution. Question here arises is that given a random variable, right? Given a random variable x, maybe this, which is a power law distribution, which is a power law or Pareto distribution. Can we change it to Gaussian? Can we change it to Gaussian? That is the idea which we need to check. Because see, here we have log normal, something like this. This is my log normal distribution. I'm applying the log on top of that and I'm making this distribution as normal distribution. Now here we are checking that if I have a Pareto distribution or a power law distribution, can it be also converted to Gaussian? So the answer is yes, it can be. And if it will become the power law transform, or I can say the Pareto distribution can convert into Gaussian distribution, then things are very easy for me to calculate the probabilities and everything, right? Because if it is a normal distribution, I know the empirical rule. Things are easy for me to do all the calculations, all the beautiful calculations. So yes, it is very much possible via power transform. Right? So we can do this. We can convert the power law or Pareto distribution to a Gaussian distribution using power transform. That is nothing but Box-Cox. So basically what we are interested in, I have a random variable x, which is x1, x2, xn, which is following the Pareto distribution. My intention is that I want to convert into a Gaussian distribution. Y1, Y2, Yn. I need to convert to Gaussian distribution. That is the whole idea. And for that, I will just have to write Box-Cox of x. So basically there is a package also in Python which can help me to do that. When I am passing this Box-Cox of x, it will give me a value called lambda. We will get a value called lambda. We will get a value called lambda. Right? Basically x means I'll pass x1, I'll pass x2 and so on. I'll get a value called lambda. Once I get this value of lambda, I have the second step which I have to perform to generate my yi. That is xi raised to power lambda minus 1 upon lambda if my lambda is not equal to 0. And if my lambda is equal to 0, then I will just apply the log of xi if lambda is equal to 0. So if my lambda is equal to 0, I am doing what? I am doing what? I am applying the log of xi, log normal. And when we are applying log normal, what happens? What type of distribution it generates? It generates Gaussian distribution. So basically, if I come here, power transform, you can see that here I have yi lambda minus 1 upon. So basically, my yi is nothing but we are deriving this as x, right? So we have a random variable x and we are converting into y. Here they are just doing yi converting into yi only, but one and the same thing. yi lambda minus 1 upon yi lambda minus 1, which we just did here upon lambda. Right, so when the value of lambda is not equal to 0, we'll pass this. If my value of lambda is equal to 0, then you will convert that to log normal distribution. And log normal distribution is nothing but my Gaussian distribution. Now let's come to the main point which we wanted to discuss. Why do we have log of n upon ni for IDF? There are multiple theories for that. My IDF is nothing but word on my total document, right? Which is log of n upon ni, where n is my total number of documents and my ni is nothing but number of documents containing word wi. Containing word wi. So from here I can say that if the word occurs few times, what will happen? My IDF will be high, right? My IDF will be more because my NI is less. If NI is less, overall this value will be more. Now there is a concept of Zipf's law. Let's come to that. Now what Zipf's law states that if I go down, you will see that there are various languages. You can see English and various different languages. This is coming from, again, the idea that what Zipf's law says that. Let's try to understand that. It says that here I have the frequency of the words, right? And here I have the words. Languages like English and other languages, it normally follows this distribution. This is the natural property of English language. It's basically what it is showing me, that I have different words. And what is the frequency of that words? It's basically a histogram. Showing me the distribution of my data. And here you can see this particular area is having high frequency, right? This area is high frequency. Here I have the words like the, is, this, all the stop words. In any sentence, these words are quite a lot, right? If these words are quite a lot, the frequency is also very high. And words like dramatically and few other words, the frequency is very less. You may not use that a lot in your sentence. Majority of the times, the words which I have are the, is, and all those stop words, and more frequent words basically. And this distribution is what? This distribution is nothing but power law distribution. We saw that, right? It's a power law distribution, 80-20 rule. And how to convert this power law distribution to a normal distribution? Using Box-Cox. Basically, we are converting log normal, right? We are converting it to log normal. And my log normal distribution is what? It's a Gaussian distribution. Getting it? So that is why we are doing log of n upon ni. We are converting this distribution to log normal distribution, to making it as Gaussian distribution. That is one of the reasons why we are doing all these things. One more reason, which I feel one more valid reason, basically, why we are going with log. Suppose I have n upon ni and log of n upon ni. Suppose I have a word called the in a sentence. If there is a word called the, and this the will be present in every sentence, right? Every document. So my n upon ni will be what? 1. Total number of documents upon the total number of documents where word the is present. Let's say in every document I have the present. So my value will be 1. And here the value will be 0. Log of 1 is nothing but 0. Same way is also, let's say 1, 0. But now let's say there is a word called dramatically. Let's say very rare word. Let's say out of every 1,000 document, I am getting once. So now value of n upon ni is what? 1,000. But what is the value of log n upon ni? If I apply the log of 1,000 to the base e, it will give me around 6.9 or something. Suppose I have a word very rare, very rare. Let's say out of 10,000, I am getting only one instance. Maybe there is very rare word. If I apply log, it will be much lower value. I'll get some value. What you can see here is that here the range is quite high, right? I have the range here starting from 1 to 10,000. It's a big range. This is increasing drastically. And here the range is not very much big. It's from 0 to 6.9, it is what I'm seeing, or maybe a little bit more, log of 10,000. The range is not very big here, but the range here is very big. That means if I am going with IDF without log, and I get or I encounter any value like this, at the end what we are doing, TF into IDF, right? Can I say my IDF is dominating here? Because my TF value will never gonna be very high. We discussed that in the last class. My TF value will never be very high. It's 0 to 1, between 0 to 1. So I can clearly see that IDF is dominating this entire calculation. And I don't want that to happen. So I'll apply log. So that this entire value will not be very high. Right? My range will not be very high here. So that is one more reason why we are going with log of this entire fraction. Right? So that is the whole idea which we wanted to discuss, is basically why this log happened here. Why we apply the log at the very first place. We discussed various concepts: log normal, power law, QQ plot, Pareto distribution, Box-Cox transformation. And then we found out, okay, this is the reason. It is following the power law distribution. We are converting it to normal distribution. That's why we are doing whole story, just applying the log. And the second reason is basically this IDF is going to be very increasing, very high in number, which I don't want. I don't want IDF to basically dominate my entire calculations. That's why we have to apply the log. And these are the two, basically the reasons why people are applying log on top of IDF.